If you watched NASCAR this weekend, you felt it. That moment, after the checkered flag waved at Watkins Glen, when the cameras swung over to pit road, and there was Bubba Wallace, standing right in front of Christopher Bell, animated, talking with his hands, clearly heated, and pleading his case about something that had happened in the closing laps. And honestly, as a fan, you do not see this kind of confrontation between two Toyota drivers very often. Two guys from the same manufacturer family, two guys who race in the same Toyota meetings every week, having a heated post-race exchange in front of the entire NASCAR world. But here is the thing. This is not just one story, because the Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell confrontation at Watkins Glen tells you something way bigger about what is happening at 23XI Racing right now. Two storylines coming out of the same incident. One is the raw emotion of what went down on pit road. The other is something deeper, something that has been building all season long, and something that has 23XI Racing fans honestly nervous about where this team is heading. So today, we are breaking down both of these stories because what happened at the Glen this weekend says a lot more than just one driver venting at another. And hey, real quick, if you are new here, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe. This channel is just getting started. We are pushing for 1,000 subscribers. And if you live and breathe NASCAR like I do every single week, you are in the right place. Welcome to Freedom Line News. All right, let's get into the first story. Because what happened at Watkins Glen between Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell was one of those moments where the racing was almost more interesting than the actual race winner. Let me set this up properly. Bubba Wallace had been having an alright day. Not spectacular. Not a disaster. He was running inside the top 10 for most of the second half of the race. He even managed to score a stage point when his team made the call to stay out under the flying tent caution. Yeah, you heard me right. A flying tent. That is how Watkins Glen weekend went. But that is a story for a different video. Then, with about 8 laps to go, things started getting interesting. Bubba was being pressured. Christopher Bell and Todd Gilliland were both right on his bumper, coming through the S's past turn 1. Now, on a road course, that kind of pressure is normal. Drivers fight for position every corner. Bumpers get used. Doors get rubbed. That is just how road course racing works. But coming out of the carousel, something happened. And the next thing you know, John Hunter Nemechek made contact with the back of Bubba's number 23 Toyota, and the car got spun out. Just like that, Bubba's top 10 finish was gone. His chance at climbing the point standings was gone. And from his perspective, the situation was completely unfair. Now here is where it gets interesting. Because technically, the contact that spun Bubba came from Nemechek, not from Bell. So when Bubba walked over to confront Christopher Bell on pit road after the race, fans started wondering, why Bell? Why not Nemechek? What did Bell actually do that made Bubba this upset? And as a fan watching that confrontation live, you could see it on Bubba's face. He was not just frustrated. He was furious. He was talking with his hands. He was leaning in. He was making his points one after another. And Christopher Bell, in his usual calm demeanor, was just standing there, barely reacting, barely responding. It was completely one-sided. That is what made this confrontation so interesting. Because you have two drivers from the Toyota family. Two drivers who are supposed to be on friendly terms, at least professionally. And one of them is absolutely going off on the other one in full view of the cameras, while the other one just stands there and takes it. The best theory floating around right now is that Bubba was upset because Bell got the run on him in the carousel, made the initial contact that compromised Bubba's racing line, and that set up the situation where Nemechek was able to come in and spin him. From Bubba's perspective, Bell was the catalyst. Nemechek was just the guy who finished the job. And honestly, when you watch the replay, that interpretation makes sense, because Bell did get a run on Bubba, and Bell did make contact. The Nemechek hit might have been the moment of the spin. But here is what makes this whole thing even crazier. Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace are not exactly strangers when it comes to on-track tension. These guys have had moments before. They race for different teams. Bell is at Joe Gibbs Racing. Bubba is at 23XI Racing. And even though both are Toyota teams, there has always been this competitive edge between them. Add to that the fact that both drivers are sitting in the playoff bubble area right now. Bell is 12th in the point standings. Bubba is 11th. They are literally racing each other for playoff position every single week. So when contact happens between these two, it is not just routine racing. It has real consequences for both of their seasons. And that brings us straight into the second story, because this confrontation is not just about one incident at Watkins Glen. This is about what is happening at 23XI Racing as a whole right now. And honestly, the more you look at this team's 2026 season, the more concerning it gets. Think about everything 23XI Racing has been through this year. The team is owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. They have one of the highest profile ownership groups in all of NASCAR. They have Tyler Reddick, who is leading the championship by 109 points. And they have Riley Herbst running full-time in his rookie Cup Series season. On paper, this should be one of the strongest organizations in NASCAR. And in some ways, it is. Tyler Reddick has won 5 races this season. 5. He is dominating the championship. Corey Heim, the part-time driver for 23XI, almost won at Texas a couple weeks ago. So one part of this team is working at an elite level. But the other side of the story is where things get worrying. Bubba Wallace's 2026 season has been a mess. He sits 11th in points, 222 points behind Tyler Reddick. He is on the wrong side of the playoff bubble. He has not won a race this season. He has had multiple controversial incidents, including the big one at Talladega, where he was the driver who triggered the wreck. The pressure on Bubba and the number 23 team has been building all year long. And remember, NASCAR fans have not forgotten about all the controversy surrounding Bubba over the last couple of seasons. The $50,000 fine from the Chicago street race after the contact with Alex Bowman on the cool-down lap, the $100,000 penalty against 23XI, racing after Martinsville during the playoffs, the pit road speeding penalties, the Hochevar bump that triggered the late Martinsville pileup. Every issue involving Bubba gets way more attention than it normally would because the pattern keeps repeating. So when you see Bubba lose his cool on pit road at Watkins Glen and go after Christopher Bell, you are not just watching one frustrated driver. You are watching a driver who is feeling the full weight of a season that is not going the way it was supposed to go. The expectations for 23XI Racing are massive. When you have Michael Jordan as an owner, when you have Denny Hamlin in the building, when you have Tyler Reddick crushing the championship, the rest of the team is expected to perform at that same level. And right now, Bubba Wallace is not. That creates real pressure inside the organization. And at Watkins Glen this weekend, that pressure came out on pit road in the form of a heated confrontation with Christopher Bell. Honestly, my take as a fan watching all of this is simple. This is what happens when expectations meet reality and the gap is too big to ignore anymore. Bubba Wallace knows what is at stake. He knows what 23XI Racing has invested in him. He knows that his teammate is leading the championship and he is sitting outside the playoff cut line. And every weekend that he does not perform at the level the team expects, the pressure gets tighter. And then you add Christopher Bell into the mix, who has been having his own brutal 2026 season. Bell sits 12th in points, just one spot behind Bubba. Bell has had multiple star-crossed races, including the Texas disaster where he was leading the race and clipped a spinning Todd Gilliland on lap 68 and rocketed into the wall. Bell is also under pressure. Bell is also fighting for his playoff life. And when those two pressures collide on track, you get exactly what we saw at Watkins Glen. The crazy part is, neither of these drivers should be having this kind of season. Both of them have been Cup Series winners. Both of them have been considered championship contenders. Both of them drive for elite organizations with elite equipment. And yet, here we are, in May 2026, watching them fight on pit road over a 12th place finish at a road course. That tells you everything about how unforgiving the modern NASCAR Cup Series has become. One bad incident, one bad strategy call, one bad pit stop, and your entire season can spiral. And once it starts spiraling, the frustration builds, the mistakes multiply, and you end up in the kind of post-race confrontation that nobody on either team actually wants. For 23XI Racing specifically, this confrontation is the latest sign that something is off. Yes, Tyler Reddick is winning. Yes, the team has a championship leader. But the number 23 side of the shop is hurting. And if 23XI cannot figure out how to get Bubba Wallace back on track, this team's playoff picture is going to look very different than what fans expected at the start of the year. To wrap it all up, we had Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell having one of the most heated post-race confrontations of the entire 2026 season at Watkins Glen. And behind that confrontation, you have two drivers fighting for their playoff lives, two organizations dealing with internal pressure, and one team specifically, 23XI Racing, that is showing real cracks underneath all the success at the top. And now we head into next weekend's All-Star race at Dover, and then the Coca-Cola 600 with this confrontation hanging over both drivers. Because confrontations like this do not just disappear, they carry over. The next time Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell are nose to tail on a restart, you can bet both of them are going to remember what happened on pit road at Watkins Glen. If you are a NASCAR fan, this is the kind of storyline that makes the rest of the season more interesting, because the playoff picture is tight. Bubba and Bell are both right on the cut line, and every single race from here until September is going to matter for both of these drivers. Now I want to hear from you. Whose side are you on in this incident? Was Bubba Wallace right to go after Christopher Bell? Or should he have confronted John Hunter Nemechek instead, since Nemechek is the one who actually spun him? And how worried should 23XI Racing fans be about Bubba Wallace's 2026 season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I really want to know what you think. And if you are a NASCAR fan who enjoys real conversations and honest opinions about the sport, subscribe to Freedom Line News. The channel is brand new, and we are pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers together as NASCAR fans. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and check out the video on screen right now where we break down Kyle Busch's shocking mid-race doctor request at this same Watkins Glen race. Trust me, you do not want to miss what really happened with the number 8 car. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.